What are you doing in my laboratory?
Boy, that's a tough one. Well, what are you doing in your laboratory?
No, I asked you first.
No, I asked you first. What? What?
Stop that! Stop that! I'm serious!
I'm serious.
You are so annoying.
You are so annoying.
Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You nasties! Disgusting!
Ladies and gentlemen, this video is scheduled for one look. Introducing to you today, your host for Wrestling with Beauty, the Broke Beauty Guru, the Ring Queen, Lexa Rose! Okay, so today's look is going to actually be inspired by little old Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. Isn't he cutie? While I'm doing this look, I'm going to give you guys some trivia, some little knowledge about the show. I just wanted to, start off by letting you know I'm an old broad, so I remember a time where there wasn't Cartoon Network. I'm going to start off, of course, prepping my skin using Clean Skin Club Vitamin C Brightening Booster with watermelon, green tea, and pineapple. And we're going to just use that to prep the face. And, a little thing you need to know about Dexter's Lab. It was one of the more influential, and it was definitely a very beloved cartoon. It was one of the first cartoons created by Cartoon Network. A long time ago, we only had Saturday morning cartoons and then after school cartoons, which only lasted but for so long. So basically, once the cartoons were over, you kind of were stuck there watching whatever your family was watching for the day. Priming with my W Air Fit Core Primer. And it was dark times. I mean, you got to watch some of the Flintstones, some of the Jetsons, of course Thundercats, which was my personal favorite growing up. But I would always have to wait until my sister was done with her goddamn soap operas in order to be able to watch it. But, yeah, cartoons were kind of so few and far between. And Nickelodeon, they provided cartoons like Maya the Bee, Noozles, David the Gnome. I know y'all remember David the Gnome. Especially Noozles. Stop in the name of the high-dingy-doo. Those are the cartoons I grew up with. We also had Mr. Wizard, but there is a whole dark story of Batman that I had no idea about until I grew up. So, but still, it was hard to really watch cartoons all day. Because even though Nickelodeon had their own fair share, you still had Hey Dude and Salute Your Shorts, which were live action shows that, some kids weren't interested in. I loved Salute Your Shorts, that was one of my personal favorites, but Hey Dude, I kind of had to power through because it was just like, you know what, everybody's watching it, I might as well. So yeah, until sometime in the 90s, Cartoon Channel was born. This Cartoon Channel was Cartoon Network. And this came at a time where we pretty much rejoiced. We had finally our own cartoon channel. Flintstones, Jetsons, Huckleberry Hound, Scooby-Doo, and such. So of course they were playing all those cartoons, but they were also playing Looney Tunes cartoons, Tom and Jerry cartoons, Popeye, Betty Boop, and the like. So it was great because I remember the Popeye cartoons. I'm a huge Popeye stan. I yams what I yams, and that's all that I yams. People who know me know that rings true. Thus, October 1st, 1992, our prayers were answered with a small cable company called Cartoon Network, which is actually owned run by Warner Brothers, Global Kids, Young Adults, and Classics. Huckleberry Hound, Magilla Gorilla, The Wacky Races, pretty much every Scooby-Doo show that they ever had came out with. You also had the classic Looney Tunes, you had the Popeye cartoons, you had the Betty Boop cartoons, Tex Avery, which ended up having its own show, the Tex Avery Show, which featured a whole bunch of like Tex Avery cartoons and stuff. So it basically became something that parents can put on, leave their kids in front of the TV, and call it a day. This was before like Disney Channel was really like big. I don't even think Disney Channel was around yet either. It was just Disney was on its own little thing. It didn't even have its own channel. And it was just, you know, it was fun. It was great because we were watching all these cartoons, but then it started to get boring. We're watching the same cartoons. The What a Cartoon show was born. Or What a Cartoon show. It was also shortened to Cartoon, which featured some really great shorts that I'm pretty sure you'll remember. One of the most notable ones is the Powerpuff Girl episode where Fuzzy Lumpkin turns everybody into burgers. Everybody always noticed that the mayor in that was totally different from the mayor in the show. Now we all know the mayor looks like this. Top hat, monocle, pretty much the Monopoly man. But the one on the show kind of resembled a gray-haired Donald Trump. If you want, go back and watch it, trust me. And one of these cartoons that came out as a result of the What a Cartoon show was Dexter's Laboratory. Now, of course you all know Dexter's Lab is basically the story of a boy genius who has a secret lab in his bedroom, and his little sister Dee Dee, or his big sister Dee Dee actually, pretty much destroys everything in the lab. So, and of course hijinks ensue. So, Dexter's Lab is probably one of the more prominent shows you remember growing up, of course. I mean, I remember that show growing up. It was a big staple of my childhood. I thought it was great that the hero of the tale was actually quite minuscule. Being that I'm a short person myself, it kind of gave short people like me hope, because it was like, hey, if you can't be tall, you can be smart. So, basically, we're going to be using our Indi Beats Bombastic Longwear Foundation. Just so you know, I'm not sponsored by Indi Beats, but I'm going to be using the Indi Beats Flip It and Reverse It palette to do my Dexter's Lab look. So, let's get started. I'm going to, of course, put on my foundation because the brows are going to be colored. So, I could just pretty much go over everything. At this time, Dexter's Lab came out. It was one of the What a Cartoon shorts. Featured Dee Dee as his sister, who pretty much destroyed everything in his lab. Dee Dee, get out of my laboratory! I love the show. It was created by Geddy Tartakovsky, who also did such classics as Samurai Jack. He also helped with the Powerpuff Girls. And you know, these were classic cartoons that, especially the Powerpuff Girls, because they were one of the very first, like, cartoon animated shorts that we had, you know, encountered. Of course, we all know Sugar Spice Everything Nice, and they came out with a movie, but of course you could still see Geddy's animation style in it when you look at the professor. Some people say that he looks a lot like Samurai Jack, and I mean, even I see it. There were a lot of fan theories that went around saying that Samurai Jack went back in, well, not back in time, but to the Powerpuff Girl universe and ended up settling down and creating the girls. Now, they've already, the creator himself has already debunked that, but it's nice wishful thinking. The show had debuted as a What a Cartoon February 26, 1995. So I was pretty much 14 at the time. And it ended November 20th, 2003. I was 22. It ran for 4 seasons, and there was 78 episodes. But of course they were like 15-minute segments, so technically it would break down into 221 segments. Again, it was 4 seasons. It was a great TV show. A lot of adult humor in it. I mean, you know, you had yeah, but you had really such memorable characters like, you know, Dee Dee, Susan Mandar, who had a crush on Dee Dee. Of course, he had a spoof of the Justice Friends, which basically spoofed a lot of Marvel and DC. Infraggable Crunk obviously was the Hulk. Valhalla was obviously supposed to be Thor. It was just pretty much, you know, a fun, campy show about a little boy who had a lab. Now, one of the more interesting things about Dexter's Lab was the voice actors on the show. Now, if you recognize one of them, the voice of Dexter himself was Christine Cavanaugh. She, rest her soul, was a very, very talented voice actress who, of course, was most notably known for being Dexter, but she also did shows on Nickelodeon like Real Monsters. She was the voice of Opina, who is probably my favorite monster on the show. Of course, Tom Kenny, who is also on Real Monsters. He did Giss, and he's also another famous voice actor that you see on SpongeBob. That's right. If you don't recognize her voice, just think of a small little red-haired, buck-toothed little baby who always said, "Tubby, I'm a little scared." Yep, that's right. She was Little Miss Chucky Finster. And as for Tom Kenny, who was, or is, most notably known for playing, you know, our dear beloved Sponge who lives in a pineapple under the sea, it was definitely a time where they themselves were growing as actors and stuff, but they definitely, you know, stole our hearts and, of course, became a very huge part of our childhood, even to this very day. So, can you see how freaking gorgeous this... I'm in love with this foundation, like, you don't understand. But anyways, continuing on, this show was, you know, one of those, like, shows where it was definitely 2D drawing. There was no CGI. It was very, very simple in its making. And it basically kind of low-key inspired, you know, cartoons like Johnny Test, which was also done by Geddy Tartakovsky, who kind of had his little fingers dabbling in it. But, you know, Dexter's Lab was definitely ahead of its time with the adult humor, and it was one of those shows that we as kids enjoyed because we all wanted to have a secret lab under our basement. We all know M for Monkey. Okay, so if you're a wrestling fan and you know about Dexter's Lab, you also know the most infamous Dial M for Monkey episode. Now, there was one particular episode where Monkey had to go to a different planet and basically fight for his life. It was a little monkey that Dexter had in his lab for, obviously, lab tests and whatnot. And the monkey was actually like, he was the first Perry the Platypus. He literally came right before Perry. I mean, he was the one that would just disappear and then show up when nobody expected. I'm using this stuff for my eyebrows to make them white. One of my more favorite episodes, and if you're a wrestler or a wrestling fan, you're automatically gonna know the episode Wrestler, which Monkey is transported to a planet where they pretty much fight to the death for their honor and to prove who the toughest being in the universe is. The character Wrestler was played by the late, great Macho Man Randy Savage, and you can go back to watching it, and I'm using this to do my eyebrows. When you go back to it, you hear his voice, you see the character on the screen, but they made him look so much like Macho Man that it kind of breaks your heart and gives you kind of that bittersweet closure, because, you know, Macho Man definitely was one of the greats. You know, it really, really impressed upon our childhood. And a lot of, you know, wrestlers have done voiceover work for Cartoon Network. Most notably, Mick Foley for Megas XLR. He was the robot. Yeah. And we love Mick Foley for that. That's Papa Foley. He's everybody's, like, you know, old uncle who's, like, really cool and, you know, talks about, like, old war stories and stuff like that. But it was a great show, and it lasted a pretty decently long time for what it was worth. Of course, you know, we all know the infamous Omelette du Fromage episode where Dexter was trying to learn French, and somehow Dee Dee messed with his tape recorder, and all he could say that whole entire day was Omelette du Fromage. Dexter's mom pretty much gave women like me, who I am now a mom, like at first growing up I was just like, ain't no woman look that thick and that good and that. We can. So yeah, Dexter's mom kind of gave us a little body positivity that it was okay to have big rump, thick thighs and a teeny tiny waist and look good as a mom. I'm gonna go into Searcha. Remember, the words are all backwards, so it kind of takes me a while to read them, but we're gonna go in with the same brush and we're gonna just color in the tips of the eyebrows. Okay, so now that I got the tips on the ends with the drumstick brush from Indi Beats, very nice and precise. I kind of a little screwed up here, but I'm going to be cleaning it up anyways. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get another similar brush, and what we're going to do is we're going to grab this one and we're going to hit gloss right here, which is going to represent the color of Dexter's gloves. And we're going to put this right here on the front and blend it with the black. Now, of course, you know Dexter was one of the first cartoons of Cartoon Network, along with the Powerpuff Girls and Steve and Larry, which you might not know, but you might know. Steve and Larry was originally the precursor to Family Guy. Yeah, I know. Seth MacFarlane did cartoons on Cartoon Network, so it was only fitting that he would come back to Adult Swim with, of course, Family Guy episodes. You could also see him on The Orville, which is one of my favorite sci-fi love letters to Star Trek. And, you know, I'm Trekkie. Live long and prosper. But yeah, Steve and Larry was another one of those cartoon shorts that you might not recognize at first, but then when you think back on it and you watch the show, it's basically Peter and Brian. Prior to Lois, Meg, and Chris, and Stewie. But again, it was a really cute show. Basically chronicled this guy who adopted a dog, and basically shenanigans ensue because the guy's a bit of an idiot. And of course the dog is trying his hardest to try and help the guy, to no avail. So yeah, those are one of the very few what a cartoons that, you know, it didn't seem like it reached any kind of success at the time, but when you realize it was from the creator of Family Guy, it makes total sense. So again, one of the very few cartoons that ended up becoming this really huge TV show along with Johnny Bravo, the Powerpuff Girls. One of the other trivias that you probably don't know about Dexter's Lab is they never mention his parents' names. His parents, to this day, do not and will not ever have names, and they will never ever be mentioned as a result because there was too much infighting as to what their surnames should be called, and you know, so basically Dexter has lived his life without a last name. You know, it is what it is. But that was one of the other little trivias that, you know, most people don't know about Dexter's Lab. Of course, Mandark is Susan Mandark because his parents are hippies and they felt the name meant what the wind calls. Another thing that you should know is Dexter's Lab also made it into comic books. In fact, you could see some of the references in season 3 of Dexter's Lab. A lot of them came from the Dexter's Lab comic books, they were presented by DC Comics. So I'm trying to get out. But of course, one of the things I like about Dexter's Lab, and I know not many people are going to agree with me on this, and that's fine. But the outro to me was the low-key slaps. Enter at your own peril, past the vaulted doors, where impossible things may happen that the world's never seen before. And then it goes on and on to describe Dexter and the smartest boy and how Dee Dee destroys his stuff, and there is gloom and doom when things go boom in Dexter's life. I'm very sad at myself for knowing all this, but again, Dexter's accent, which you'll probably think is like straight German, it's not. It's a mix of French and Russian and German, and it was actually originated from Gendy's roommate, who would leave him voicemails in a funny French accent. So basically, you got something like this on a voicemail, and it was tweaked and it was worked up, and of course Christine was able to find that perfect blend of Russian, German, and French and throw it all together and go omelette du fromage. And it's my favorite freaking episode. I find it so funny. But of course, then we got the infamous Dexter's Lab. Okay, now that I've got my eyebrows done, because that was going to be the hardest part to do and I wanted to just get it done and over with, I am going to start with the contouring. So, I'm going to go in with my Juvia's Place concealer and, well, contour stuff. And let's keep going with the rest of this tutorial. Another thing that you could probably pick up in Dexter's Lab is most notably Mandark's house. He has like a scientific like attachment, I guess you could say, that mildly resembles the Death Star. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you are definitely gonna pop for that. It's just so you know, you can actually watch these episodes on HBO Max. Just so you know, you can watch these on HBO Max. If you ever rewatch it and you see Mandark's house, pay attention to the Death Star hanging on the side of his crib. One thing I always wondered growing up, and I'm pretty sure now that I'm an adult, I'm still thinking this. How the fuck did Dexter's parents not realize he had a whole ass lab in that house? Like, I'm pretty sure that freaking electric bill was way, way, way too unnecessarily high. Like, you mean to tell me that the freaking light bill was, you know, the electric bill or light bill, whatever, wasn't suspiciously high? Like, seriously. I mean, what did, you never really saw what the parents did for a living either. You know that the mom was, like, basically a stay-at-home mom. You know, she was, you know, beautiful, juicy booty, and whatnot. And then you had Dee Dee, who was a typical all-American ballerina, you know, American girl. She had blonde hair and the pigtails. And she also had her two friends, Amy and Lily. who, of course, were kind of like-minded like her. And, of course, they were little ballerinas, so to speak, themselves. So, of course, a lot of hijinks would ensue between Dexter and Mandark, and then as much as Dexter seemed like he really didn't want to, he would definitely pull out Dee Dee as his ace in the hole and basically use that to defeat Mandark. I can't even be mad at that. That's, you know, it's the rules of war. The rules of war. There's tons of references to a lot of Hanna-Barbera cartoons. There's a cameo by George Jetson and Fred Flintstone in one episode. It was definitely, of course, for us kids who kind of grew up with those shows and stuff. And also for the adults who, you know, watched the Flintstones. I mean, I still know the theme songs of both Jetsons and, well, the Jetsons didn't even exactly have a theme song. It was more like an introduction rap, I guess you could say. But again, it was just like one of those, you know, Easter eggs that you thoroughly enjoyed as a kid because you kind of remembered the Flintstones and stuff, and the parents got a kick out of it because obviously they grew up with it. So, you know, Dexter's Lab was definitely one of those shows that you were grateful existed because there was like nothing else like it at the time. Dexter's Lab for me was a very critical show for me growing up because it basically said that you don't have to have muscles, you don't have to have a rugged beard, you don't have to be this He-Man macho, you know, you didn't have to look like the typical hero to be a hero. That's what Dexter's Lab pretty much was. He was a boy hero who unwittingly, you know, had to deal with siblings, or basically dealing with a sister, dealing with a rivalry that, you know, really shouldn't be necessary, but it kind of gave like some sort of depth to the show where it wasn't just some boy genius having random adventures every time. And then you also had the Just Us Friends, which of course major glory was Captain America and Superman put together. You had Valhalla, who basically was Thor constantly high, or as I like to say, Thor in Endgame without the pooch. You also had other characters as well. One of them was basically Capital G, which was a parody of Luke Cage. You had Fantone, which was supposed to be Vision. Ratman, who was supposed, for obvious reasons, like you could kind of tell a lot of these. Like Tiger. Yeah, I thought it was called White Panther, and it was still kind of, it was implied that it was still a black character because it was supposed to be literally Black Panther in a white suit. So, it was definitely a very, very fun, colorful, animated show. A lot of the adult jokes. I mean, I watch it now and I get them. I get them. But back then they were just like, so, needless to say, now that I'm older and I kind of understand these jokes, it's like, yeah, I still fucks with this show. A couple more little pieces of trivia. There was an episode in the second season. I'm going to be using my Indi Beats drumstick brush to add my pretty vulgar setting powder. It was an episode in the second season that was, it had a lot of profanity, and it was called Rude Removal. Now, Gendy still plays it at, like, you know, festivals, like, basically TV festivals and whatnot. And it was basically taken off Cartoon Network because of the excessive profanity, which was actually censored. But, you know, even kids kind of knew at that point that it was implied that these people were cursing their brains out. So, of course, Cartoon Network pulled it. Due to this show, though, it really did jumpstart the careers of, again, Seth MacFarlane, Craig McCracken, who does the Powerpuff Girls, Butch Hartzman, who, of course, Fairly Odd Parents, and, of course, Bob Renzetti, who did My Life as a Teenage Robot. If it wasn't for Getty, a lot of our beloved cartoons would not be where they are today. They wouldn't have evolved. You know, the people that helped create the shows wouldn't be where they are today. You know, Getty worked on Samurai Jack, so he left Chris Savino to do the last 2 seasons of Dexter's Lab. So that's why they pulled it from the DC Comics, just to kind of finish up the storyline, so to speak. But it was definitely well written. It definitely helped the show evolve in a way, because I mean, Dexter's Lab was, you know, one of those shows where you didn't expect it to be as successful as it was, but it was. So yeah, right now I'm using the color Vulture from the Flip It and Reverse It palette for the top part of the hair that's going to be here on the eyelid. It's a mix between orange and red depending on what episode you're watching, or, you know, what kind of picture and how it's rendered and whatnot. It usually varies from like an orangey red to just a plain red. So I'm pretty much right now doing the outline of his hair, which is gonna be right here. As you can tell, looks pretty good, and this eyeshadow is at .com. It is working and moving where I want it to, and it's definitely easy to work with. I'm really liking how it looks, as you can tell. So I'm doing just the simple outline shape, because it's going to be literally lined with black liner, because it's going to kind of represent his hair. So right now I'm just going in with the orange. I'm going to deepen it up with some red, and once that's done, we can get in with the liner, which is going to be white and lined in black, because I want this to kind of have like a bit of a cartoony feel, and obviously stay true to the Dexter's Lab art and animation style that Yendi was actually known for. So I'm just putting in Vulture as kind of a base, and then I'm going to deepen it in as I get towards the lid with Rapapum, and then on top of it we're going to put Ratata to give it a little sparkle. Okay, so now that we've got the orange in, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this flat brush. It's kind of pointy on the top, but these are the Bring in the Funk drumstick brushes, and we are going to go right into Rompapom, and we're going to put that all over the lid and blend it into Vulture, which is right up here. Brush is that little pointy tip right here. I don't know if you can see it. That little, it kind of has like a little point a little bit. It makes it easy for me to like kind of blend up into this orange and kind of give it more depth and definition as hair. I'm really impressed with how great these brushes really work. They're easy to, you know, manipulate the makeup onto the lid. It's very, very very, very refreshing. I'm thoroughly to the moon and back with this stuff. I mean, I'm sold. It was definitely worth the purchase. I'm not mad about it, and I mean, the eyeshadow. Ooh, look at that. That's stunning. So now we're gonna go into Ratata and just kind of add a little sparkle to the lid. You don't want to drag it upwards. You want to just kind of give a little Oye, qué bueno. Qué bueno. Oh, yeah. That's what really makes it pop. Now I'm going to do a little bit of extra, because you know I'm extra. Because I like this. I like it. I like it a lot. But I want to give it some more razzle dazzle. Yes. So, Wiki Cosmetics! We are going to go right into the Prismo paste. I am in love with it, by the way. I thought you should know. And we are just going to take boop, a little dollop in it, and just tap it lightly on there. And holy moly, did it oh man, that is very pretty. Hold on, put some over here. I don't want to overpower the other color ratata that I put, which is a shimmery red. I don't want to take away from that. So just put a little bit on the lids. And just tap it. Tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. I love this Prismo paste. I'm not even gonna lie. Definitely best purchase I've ever made with Indi Cosmetics. It's also an independently run company. I'm gonna go right back into Ratata really quickly and pop that right there. Very pretty. Look at that. It kind of intensified the rompopom and definitely I'm gonna take this brush because I'm gonna do the liner last, because the liner is obviously gonna be white liner because it's gonna represent Dexter's lab coat. But I wanted to keep the purple definitely for the gloves, and I also wanted to do a little shadow underneath, so we went back in with gloss, and we're just gonna put that right on the bottom lash. My brows. Okay, now here comes the hard part. This is the part where I hold my breath for far too long in an attempt to do this the right way. Actually, you know what? We're gonna go with Badonk. This white color right here, the white shimmer, and we're gonna put that in the inner corner and the I'm gonna just throw that right in there in the inner corners, and obviously highlight the brow bone. I left this space purposely empty because I want the focus to be more on the hair design than really the brow bone. Like the brows and the lids are the focal point. So okay, so now we're gonna do the hard part of me holding my breath for a unnecessarily long period of time so that I can do the hair. Doing that first because at least I can clean up any of the black with concealer, and I don't want it mixing with the white liner, so I want to get this first before I put the white liner on, and you know, because the white liner is gonna be outlined in black. You'll see it. You'll see it. full faith and confidence in this look. Okay, so I got the line work done on the hair. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a liner brush. This was not expected. So, of course I'm going back in with this stuff. And we're just going to do the white liner, and of course I'm going to outline it in black to give it that more cartoony feel. Okay, so I'm going to use this instead. One of the things I remember growing up watching Dexter's Lab, and this was before Boomerang really came out, but I really like the fact that as a cartoon, it basically was not only an original, but it kind of touched upon a lot of the silly types of stereotypes in like elementary school. Of course, we remember how Dexter got he didn't even get a bad grade, he just got a lower grade than he was normally accustomed to, and he's crying to a picture of Albert Einstein, which I found absolutely hilarious, because of course most girls had pictures of Backstreet Boys. Dexter had Albert Einstein. Came out, which at the time was like this cool, weird new thing that we didn't even know about. But for me, I was just excited that they were playing anime. Like, they had Dragon Ball Z. I think they also had Sailor Moon. I'm not too sure. But then they had Yu Yu Hakusho, Inuyasha, Lupin the Third, and it was great because it was just like, I didn't know there was. Like, I knew there was animes, but like, I didn't know that all these wonderful shows existed. Because I grew up with Fist of the North Star and Vampire Hunter D. I'm using Sails from the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette, only because it's a matte white that'll work perfectly in basically setting all this cream liner. And then I'm going to go over it with black, and then we will go into lashes and stuff. So almost had a wardrobe malfunction with my contacts. If you want to know, my contacts are from the Third Eye. They're a really great contact lens company. You can get them in prescriptions. All you have to do is pretty much go to an optometrist, get your prescription, go online, basically order what you want in your prescription. The only thing is the cosplay lenses do not come in prescriptions yet. I'm hoping that they do change that, but again, that's neither here nor there. So I'm gonna go in with the lips, and actually, you know what? No. I gotta highlight this face brown. So we're gonna go in with our Gucci Cosmetics Violacious Mist Me Setting Spray. We're just gonna give it a good shake, and we're going to spritz. God, it smells so good. Now I'm gonna grab Choking on Ice. It's another. Yes, I know, but you know, I'm gonna take our drumstick brush from Indi Beats, and we're just gonna highlight the high points. And look at that. I love this setting spray from Gucci Cosmetics. It's a little pricey, but because it's from an independent company, it's definitely worth the price. Like, to me, it's not pricey, but to someone else, they'll be like, you know, that's kind of a lot, you know, $21 for a setting spray. Like, excuse me, you'd spend more on that shit for, like, you know, of course, one of my other favorites, my iconic setting spray. Now I'm gonna go in with the lips, and we're gonna hit up Triggered and Drug Lord, and we're just gonna put that on there real quick because I want the purple to kind of match, because, you know, this obviously is the focal point of the whole entire look right there. But I wanted to also do the lips purple to represent Dexter's purple gloves. Like I said, we're heading to the home stretch, so we are going to grab our Lily Lashes mascara. We are going to be using the Bring in the Funk Lashes and Reggae because they have really nice purple highlights in them. So, of course, we're going to start by curling these bad boys up to, as Patrick Star would say, curl them up to Jesus. Okay, so now that we've got those on, this is usually my system. It's a little weird. But what I like to do is I like to curl them, and then what my next step usually is I take the lashes and I put them on first, then I coat them with mascara, and then I press them one more time to give it what I call the old razzle dazzle. You have to say it like that too. You gotta go old razzle dazzle. Gonna let that set, and we're just gonna go to the other side and just apply mascara on that side since I know it's dry and it is anchored down pretty well. Okay, so now that the look is finished, I'm going to add, of course, the old razzle dazzle. It helps me press the natural lashes into the false lashes and kind of seals the little gap between both of them. Because when you put the lashes on, I don't know if you noticed, but I noticed when I apply lashes, there's always like a little gap between the natural lashes and the falsies. So what I do is, once I apply the mascara, I kind of give it the old razzle dazzle, and it kind of presses them together, melding them into one solid natural look. And that's it. Now what I want to do is I want to finalize the look with something a little bit special. Of course, I'm going in with one of my wigs from Insert Hair here. So I'm going to just throw on the wig really quickly, and you'll get to see how the whole full look, you know, works together. Be right back. And of course, this is the final look. This is probably the most reddish wig I have. The other one I have is from Love Me Hair, but it's a lace front, and I'm still a newbie on it, so I don't want to ruin it. It probably would have gone better with the Dexter's Lab look, but as you can tell, bam, bam, it came out perfect. The lashes fit lovely, and of course the wig is called Yo-Yo by Insert Name here. I'll leave their link and stuff in the description down below if you ever want to pick up wigs from them. I highly recommend their ponies. My personal favorite is obviously the Shayla pony. It looks so great on me. Even my husband was just kind of like in shock. He didn't know what to expect, so when he saw it on me, he was just like, wow. You can see that video too. I'll link it down below so that you guys can check it out. But again, this whole entire look was done mostly using Indi Beats Cosmetics, and also using Wicked Cosmetics, their Prismal Paste, their Violacious Setting Spray, of course the Indi Beats Bombastic Longwear Foundation, which, look at this. Their brushes, soft, I mean, they're amazing, they're soft, they blend really, really well, which I was really, really shocked about and really happy about. So definitely highly recommend getting the drumstick brushes. That's a definite. And also to their Flip It and Reverse It palette, which enabled me to create this look for you guys, as well as the lashes in reggae. Thoroughly happy with the look, thoroughly happy with how everything came out. And please hit subscribe, please leave a comment down below to see what other looks you want to see me do. Obviously, I almost feel like Johnny Test's sisters, mostly because I know one of them has bangs and she kind of styles her hair like this, so yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed the little facts and, you know, a little bit of my Dexter's Lab knowledge. Sorry about the dog barking. I do live with roommates, so it's not exactly guaranteed quiet, but of course, here we are. I am the Rogue Beauty Guru and your host for Wrestling with Beauty. I am the Ring Queen Lexa. I'll see you on my next video. Keep it Gucci Pucci, bitches!